My family threw a massive party on my 32nd birthday, but the celebration was not for me. I stood alone in my quiet apartment, looking at a single unlit candle on a tiny cake while my phone remained completely silent. For years, I believed that my exhausting 14-hour workdays as a public relations executive would finally earn the respect of my parents. Instead, the silence of that evening proved that my achievements meant absolutely nothing to the people who raised me. I opened social media only to find my entire extended family raising glasses of champagne in a beautifully decorated hall. My father had his arm wrapped tightly around my brother, Colton, celebrating his recent corporate promotion with immense pride. Dozens of photos flooded my screen, showing aunts, uncles, and cousins smiling together on the exact day I was born. They did not forget my special day, but rather they made a conscious choice to celebrate someone else. Memories of childhood neglect immediately rushed back to crush my spirit, reminding me that this pain was nothing new. When I turned 11, I sat by myself at a restaurant table while my parents attended the debate tournament of Colton. On my 17th birthday, they sent me away to stay with my grandmother so they could tour elite universities with their favorite son. My achievements were always brushed aside as minor details compared to the financial career of my brother. The sudden ringing of my telephone broke the heavy silence of the room, and for one foolish second, hope flared inside me. My mother, Valerie, spoke with an energetic voice, but she did not offer a single birthday greeting to her daughter. She wanted me to coordinate the catering and design the decorations for the upcoming wedding anniversary of Colton. When I quietly mentioned that today was my birthday, she dismissed it as a simple oversight. A massive corporate bonus of $82,000 landed in my bank account that night, signaling a shift in my entire life. Days later, a mistake by my mother allowed me to see an exclusive family text thread that I was never supposed to join. My father, Harrison, insisted that I should contribute $20,000 of my hard-earned money toward the anniversary gift of Colton. They viewed my success merely as a financial resource for their golden child. At the office, my close colleague, Natalie, noticed my distress and pointed out that Colton was actively exploiting my professional network. My brother had contacted the marketing directors of my major clients to secure investment deals for his own firm without my permission. My father believed this entitlement was completely justified because family always supports family, even when the support only flows in one direction. I realized then that my professional boundaries were being completely shattered by my own blood. My chief executive officer, Vance, entered the room to praise my management of the latest marketing campaign, which boosted client revenue by 40%. He explicitly told me that I earned every single penny of my bonus through relentless dedication and brilliant strategy. Natalie squeezed my shoulder, reminding me that the corporate world valued my talent far more than my actual family ever did. When Colton called me demanding more executive contacts, I gave a completely cold and non-committal response. Seeking comfort, I visited my elderly neighbor, Clara, whose apartment always smelled of freshly baked goods and genuine warmth. For 3 years, our weekly dinners provided the emotional support and safety that my biological parents completely failed to deliver. As I explained how my family misspelled my name in their group chat while demanding my money, Clara held my hand tightly. She noted that some parents only see their own reflections rather than the beauty of their children. The massive family estate loomed over the lake that weekend, looking like a monument of wealth and superficial perfection. Inside, Valerie adjusted expensive floral arrangements while Harrison poured glass after glass of expensive scotch for Colton and his wife, Brittany. Dinner proceeded with the usual familiar choreography, dominated entirely by boasts regarding the corporate advancements of my brother. I sat silently, pushing food around my plate while waiting for the inevitable trap to snap shut. During dessert, my father demanded that I hand over $20,000 to cover the luxurious venue for the anniversary party. When I calmly stated that I could not contribute my bonus money because I had personal plans, the room fell completely silent. My parents were completely unaccustomed to hearing the word no from a daughter they usually controlled with immense guilt. Valerie immediately began to cry, accusing me of breaking her heart after everything they sacrificed. Harrison stood up and shouted that Colton was the only true achiever in the family, demanding that I respect his superior success. The cruelty of his words cut deep, but instead of apologizing, I gathered my purse and walked out of the house. For the first time in 32 years, I refused to allow their manipulation to dictate my worth or financial choices. Driving away into the dark night, a profound sense of resolution replaced the old familiar fear. Valerie called my phone every single morning, claiming that my rebellious behavior was causing severe emotional distress to my father. Harrison even marched directly into my workplace, creating a dramatic scene near the reception desk by questioning my professional integrity. He claimed that $20,000 was a minor request and that I was merely punishing them for missing one birthday. I walked away from him, closing the conference room door to handle a multi-million-dollar corporate crisis. A few weeks later, I sat in a quiet cafe watching a group of true friends celebrate a young woman with genuine love. The painful realization settled into my chest that my biological family would never offer that kind of unconditional affection. I opened my laptop and began searching for lakefront properties far away from the chaotic toxicity of the city. I discovered a beautiful 4-bedroom house surrounded by tall pine trees facing the calm water. The very next day, I contacted a real estate agent to secure a private viewing of the magnificent shoreline property. Standing on the wooden deck and watching the sunlight dance across the ripples, I knew this sanctuary belonged to me. I signed the purchase papers without consulting a single family member, utilizing my hard-earned bonus for my own future. Clara accompanied me to the closing, declaring that I was finally building a proper sanctuary for my soul. I spent my weekends transforming the lake house into a beautiful home filled with my corporate awards and proudest memories. On a bright afternoon, I sent housewarming invitations to Natalie, my work colleagues, and my wonderful neighbor, Clara. I intentionally avoided sending the details to my parents, breaking the cycle of seeking validation from people who chose to ignore me. That evening, looking at the stars, I felt an incredible sense of personal power and independence. On Sunday, I shared a photograph of myself relaxing on my new wooden deck with a glass of rich wine. The caption simply stated that this beautiful lake house was a birthday gift that I proudly presented to myself. Within minutes, my phone exploded with dozens of frantic text messages and angry voicemails from my furious mother. Valerie demanded to know where the money came from, calling my independent actions completely irresponsible and deeply embarrassing. Colton actually drove to my corporate office to confront me, but Natalie successfully protected my privacy by refusing to share my location. My cousin, Jocelyn, called later to inform me that the entire extended family network was buzzing with malicious gossip. They were telling people that I was suffering from a mental breakdown because I was jealous of my brother. I merely laughed at the predictability of their rumors, feeling completely disconnected from their petty games. My mother finally reached me on Thursday night, her voice trembling with intense fury regarding the social media pictures. She claimed that prominent community members were asking uncomfortable questions about why my parents were absent from my celebration. Valerie commanded me to attend a mandatory family dinner on Sunday so they could fix the narrative and explain the misunderstanding. I calmly informed her that I would only visit on Tuesday, and I would bring the albums. On Tuesday evening, I walked up the stone steps of the mansion holding 3 heavy photo albums against my chest. Harrison opened the door with a cold glare, criticizing my tardiness instead of welcoming me into the family home. Valerie sat in the dining room with tissues, preparing a theatrical performance of maternal grief to trigger my guilt. Colton stood nearby with a drink, looking visibly anxious as I placed the heavy books across the table. I opened the first album, revealing decades of elaborate birthday parties, expensive gifts, and professional photographs dedicated entirely to Colton. The second album was completely empty except for a few isolated pictures of me eating cheap cupcakes alone. I explained that while they celebrated the milestone events of my brother, my existence was consistently pushed into the shadows. The evidence of their structural favoritism was completely undeniable, written clearly across the empty pages. Next, I produced a detailed financial spreadsheet tracking the thousands of dollars spent on Colton versus the hundreds spent on me. My father grew furious, shouting that Colton was always the priority because he carried the family name and legacy. My mother openly wept, admitting that ignoring me had simply become an easy pattern over the long years. I stood up, leaving the painful photo albums behind as a final testament to their lifelong neglect. A full year passed, and my next birthday arrived with glorious sunshine reflecting beautifully across my private lake house deck. 33 candles rested on a beautiful cake while my true friends and colleagues gathered around me with genuine smiles. My phone buzzed with warm text messages celebrating my recent promotion to senior director of the marketing agency. The contrast between this beautiful gathering and the isolation of the past year was truly staggering. Suddenly, the familiar engine of the vehicle of Colton cut through the music as he arrived holding a small package. He explained that therapy helped him realize how our parents completely erased my presence while constantly spotlighting his life. My brother handed me a restored photograph of myself playing happily as a young child, offering a small bridge of validation. When my mother arrived at the door holding a single cupcake, I allowed her to enter. The healing process would require a massive amount of time, but the old patterns of manipulation were officially broken. I walked down to the edge of the water as twilight painted the sky in shades of deep purple. I realized that waiting for other people to validate your existence is a completely losing battle. I raised my glass to the horizon, finally knowing that the greatest gift you can ever receive is choosing yourself.